everyone. I am going to go through our Constitution rather quickly, but I've already sent this to you in an email for you to read over at your leisure and then come to the meeting on September 24th with any questions you might have. And then I'm going to go over the volunteer documents and what volunteering means for the club because it's important for you to be out there in the community, volunteering on campus, volunteering with the club, and doing outreach. So whether that's at a school or an outreach that you already do in the community. So here's our Constitution. It just basically goes over our name and our purpose, and that is to, support our schools in our 5 districts. And we always work with Columbia County, but we are starting to work with Union County. And I would even extend that maybe the school supply drive, the extra that we have, we kind of donate to Union County, since we're trying to already form a partnership with that. Or maybe we can reach out to Gilchrist or Dixie County and support schools there. Here are our goals and our mission and our membership and who can be members. And so they have to be within the education realm. So whether they're AA, AS, or BS, they can be part of the club. Anybody can sit in the club, and the non-student staff or faculty, but they just don't get to vote or hold office. Now, our dues are $10, and they are per semester. The monies will be paid the first month, and that's what it says. But I'm lenient because I know people have things to do. But if you have not paid your dues yet, please try to be sure that you are paying your dues either September 24th or the following membership, which is the one of the first weeks in October. Let me get my calendar out here. October 8th. So either September 24th or October 8th, please be sure that you are paying your $10 dues for the semester, because that does go towards things that we're doing and things that we purchase for you. So those bags that you get when you pay your dues, that your dues kind of go towards paying a percentage of that bag, and that's why I give you something. The second time that you pay your dues, the second semester that you pay your dues, we are in the process of ordering some awesome stainless steel water bottles with our logo on it. So for those of you who have already been members a while and you pay your dues this semester, you're going to get a water bottle once those come in. But those of you who are new this semester, your first gift is going to be a bag. And then when you pay your dues in spring, you're going to get a water bottle for that. And so those dues do go for us to do fun things like have catered events for our Christmas party or our end of the year party. So if you have economic hardship and you can't pay the $10, we put a clause in there that it will be reduced, and but 75% of the voting members of the club have to vote that you can be reduced. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But again, remember that your money goes towards your gift, and it also goes towards being part of doing fun things with the club. You can read all these obligations of members and so forth. You can read who is a member and how they're removed. Let me go to obligations. Obligations means that you pay your dues, you're part of the members, and you reap the benefits of being a member of the club. So members of the club should at least be able to attend one club meeting a month. So I'm not saying that you have to attend both of them, because usually we have 2 a month, but you need to at least be there once a month to know what's going on. If not, then you need to work that out with the president, which is Amy right now. Members are to participate in at least 2 club events per semester that you're a member. So that would have been Club Rush for some of you. Fall Festival is going to happen. Any other club activities that we do with student activities in the hall or out in Pine Square, you need to be part of at least 2 of them that are held on campus. So you don't have to come to all the events, and you only have to come for 30 minutes. Usually I do the sign-up sheet in 30-minute blocks. So some students can only come for 30 minutes, but at least they came and helped out with the booth. And so you're going to have to do that at least 2 events a semester, and you get to choose which 2 events those are. You don't have to be a participant of all of them. Also, you need to do some service hours. So 10 hours of community service per semester. And so that is community outreach service, meaning maybe you're doing something with being a mentor with the homeless, like Vincent had asked the last meeting. So his hours that he maybe meets with that student, it goes towards his 10 hours of community service. Maybe you're part of Reading Pals, which we didn't have somebody come into this year yet to talk about Reading Pals, but Reading Pals is through the United Way, and they go and read once a week for an hour to kindergartners. So maybe that's something you do. Maybe you're doing your 20 hours in the classroom. You're taking EDF 2085, or you're taking EME 20 or EDF 2085 or EDF 1005, and you have to do those 20 hours. Those 20 hours don't count as community service, but any hours above those 20 hours. So if you were, you did your observation and you spent 25 hours in the classroom, well, those last 5 hours that you did, those count as community service hours, because I'm only requiring you to do 20 in the classroom. So anything above that 20 are considered community service hours. And I'm going to show you where you're going to record that. Although you'll record it on your documents for the class, you're going to give yourself credit for those 5 extra hours that you did, or 2 extra hours, or 1 extra hour, or 10 extra hours. Doing those observations and helping out in the classroom, because you're helping the teacher, and that is community service. And then you have to have at least 2 hours of club volunteer, meaning you're helping with the boards. Right now, Simone is in my classroom sorting out school supplies. So that document that I put in our club Google account, where you get to write your hours, and I can go to that really quickly. And I'll show you any hour. Like Simone, I've already kind of recorded that she's here, but volunteering on campus, that means you're volunteering. Either you're helping with fundraising, like walking around, asking people to donate for a specific cause, or you're creating boards for events. Like you see Simone, Brianna, and Caitlin all helped with the club brush board. Savannah came and helped with college day on campus with me. And then Simone is here sorting school supplies. So however long Simone stays, she'll enter that. You only need a minimum of 2 hours, but you'll see a lot of the students who continually help out, they'll have well over 2 hours of helping with those events, in terms of helping with the board and helping sort things out or gather them. And we're even being part of the crew that wants to help deliver these. So next week, we're going to go deliver these school supplies to the homeless program at the school board. And if we choose to maybe donate them to a classroom, we'll go do that. And so if you help out with that activity, those are part of your club volunteer hours. You're volunteering your time for club-specific things, aside from the events that we do with student activities, and aside from any community service hours you do. Because we find that lots of students want to be part of the club, but they don't want to help do anything with the club. And so this is my way of saying, if you want to be part of the club, you need to at least help with 2 hours, which is more than enough. And if everybody does that at different increments, then we'll always be able to get what we need to get done. Now, these 10 hours of community service, if you go to church and you help in your church ministry in any way, those are volunteer hours. You don't get paid to work in kids ministry and watch the 3-year-olds while service is happening. Or maybe you do a car wash with your church, or maybe you do feed the homeless with your church. Whatever it is, anything that you do that's service to the community, it does not have to be directly related to the club, and it doesn't have to be directly related to the school. It could be other community service activities that you do. Maybe your grandparent or your great-grandparent, because a lot of you are young, your great-grandparent might be in a nursing home, and maybe you go read to the elderly once a week. That is community service hours. So anything that you do, I'm going to be walking with my son's school in the Walk for Life on the 28th. That's community service hours, and I'm going to log for the club that I participated in that event. And so if you want to do something like that and you want to donate your time to a cause, and you're helping the community, those are community service hours. And so if you have any questions, let me know and I'll help answer those. Now, we do go on a trip, and so I put something in here for club trips, that if you plan to be on a trip, you have to, if you plan to go, let's say, to our event that we go to in Orlando each year, the FFEA conference, you have to be current on your dues. You would have had to participate in at least 5 community service hours already. And then you would have at least had to be attending 1 meeting per month and participate in at least 1 campus event or off-campus event with the club. So if we did like a fundraiser at Painting with a Twist and you came to that, then that would count as your 1 hour, 1 campus or off-campus event for the club, because it's directly club related. If you have questions about that, let me know. I am going to be talking about this trip, this conference, and how we're getting that paid for, because Simone and I found out some new information at the assembly meeting on Wednesday that directly affects our participation in that conference. So we'll talk more about that. Please read the rest of it. Decision making, how do we do that? Officers, how we elect them, and so forth. All throughout here and what their duties are. If you have any questions about the Constitution, please bring those at our next meeting. Let's talk about volunteer hours. So I've attached with this email that you're watching this video from, I've also attached a blank volunteer form that looks like this. And we have to turn these in each time we do volunteer. So I'm going to show you, this is just something I filled out briefly in terms of individual person community service, and then I'll show you a different kind of how I filled it out for something else like donations. So every month or every time you fill all of this up, you're going to turn this form into me right away. So you're going to you need to keep track of those volunteer hours that you do, whether it's at a school, whether it's at a church, whether it's in your community doing something else. You're going to keep track of it. And then turn it in either each month or turn it in once this is full, so I can directly turn it in and they can keep track of our volunteer hours for student activities, because at the end of the year there's a banquet and there's awards and so forth. And so we have won the last 2 years some awards for our service to the school and for the community. So how do I fill that out? You only need to put the service activity. So if you are you're in EDF 2085 or 1005 and maybe you spent 25 hours and you want to log the 5 extra hours that you're doing in the classroom, then you'd put something like classroom aid. If you are working at your church and you work in the kids ministry, you'd put kids ministry. Whatever it is that you're doing, not where you're doing it at, but what you're doing, you'll put it here in service project, and that's it. I've already said that these points are going to the Future Teachers Club, so you don't have to write your name here. You do not do that. You will fill out this area right here. So you need to put your name here. So let's say your name's Abby, and you are volunteering at Westside Elementary, you'll put that on that first line. And then all the subsequent lines, you'll put the dates that you were at Westside Elementary and the times in, the times out, and then you'll total the hours here in this column. Do not do anything else. I will count them all up and total it myself down here for an official total. You just keep track of your name, where you're volunteering, and then the dates, times in, times out, and how many hours you spent. Now remember, every quarter hour, so like 9:15, every 15 minutes is 0.25. So if this right here said 10:15, this would be 1.25. If it said 10:30, it'd be 1.5. If it said 10:45, it'd be 1.75. So every 15 minutes is really 25. So think of 4 quarters in an hour, in a sense. That's how you'll total up hours. You wouldn't put 1.15 if you spent 15 minutes. It's 1.25. Because 4 quarters equals $1, like 4 quarters in an hour equals 1 hour. So kind of think of it that way. Now, you cannot put multiple different volunteer hours on one page, meaning if Abby volunteered at Westside for 2 days, then she volunteered at her church for another number of days, then she volunteered with Christian Services, she wouldn't put all of that on one paper. She will have 3 different papers recording her time at Westside on one paper, then her time volunteering at Christian Services on another paper, her time volunteering at her church on another paper. So every specific place you go. Now, she can, if she goes to Westside and she does different things at Westside, that all can stay on the same paper because it's all at Westside. She can do different things at Christian Services. It can stay all on one paper because it's all at Christian Services. You might be doing different things to help out with your church, and that can all stay on one. I hope that makes sense. But again, if you have questions, ask me. Then down at the bottom here, you will have the person who is in charge of kind of paying attention to what you're doing fill out this bottom form. So let's say the teacher that I did my 5 extra observation hours in, or maybe my extra 10 or whatever extra time I spent at Westside, the teacher would write her name here, sign it, their telephone number, and the date that they signed it. Not the date you're submitting it, the date that they signed it. If you go volunteer at your church, then whoever's over kids ministry would fill out this area right here. If you go to Christian Services and you volunteer your time there, whoever is in charge of that activity will sign their information here. And then you'll submit it to me. Those are the only 3 places that you are going to write anything on this paper. I will fill out all the rest of it. And this is volunteering for time. Now, I do a lot of donations. You know, when I have a yard sale, I gain some money, and then I don't want that stuff sticking around my house. We get hours for donations that you make outside of the school. So I fill these forms out when we donate all these school supplies. All of the school supplies that we have that we're donating will all turn in to hours based off of the numeric amount. But I personally also record the things I donate and I submit it for the club. So back in May, I made a donation to Goodwill. So I wrote donation/Goodwill. You can put donation/Christian Charities. Donate wherever you're giving items away. Now, if you're giving it to Christian Charities, they might not have like a receipt like Goodwill does, and I'll show you the receipt from Goodwill in a minute. So you can list maybe all the things you donated. And then instead of the time in and time out, I put it over here, but you don't need to put it over there. Put like the money amount. So maybe I donated 5 pants and I thought 5 pants equal to $20. Put $20 here. And list everything you donated and the money amount. If they don't have another form specific like Goodwill does, and I'll show you that in a minute. then I will total your money up. You don't have to do any of that. I will total your money up. I'm just showing you an example of how I filled this form out. So you'll tell me, what you donated, how much it was worth, each of it, and then I'll total it up. So my donation on May 24th totaled up to $255. I estimated that amount. Divided by 5 equals 51 hours. So our club is going to get 51 hours from my donations back in May. And then I put a C attached form because this is what the form looks like when you donate to Goodwill. So when you donate to anywhere, especially Goodwill, always tell them you need this donation receipt form. And then you'll fill this out and do what I just did here, which is kind of like a C attached form. Various donations, C attached form, donations to Goodwill. I'll fill this out if you want me to. You can just give me this donation receipt with all the information filled out. So you see my name, the date. They'll put the date there, and they'll sign their name. And then you will fill in the rest of this information. So what I do is I tally up all of this. I tallied up the kids' clothes. I had 15 items, and those 15 items I valued at about $30. I donated one purse, and that was about $5. So the different things you donate, you would put the quantity and then how much you valued it at. Now it's used, so don't say, I paid for that DVD rack, I paid $20 for it. Well, it's not worth $20 anymore. It's I would probably sell it in a yard sale for about $50. All my kids' toys, I had 30 different kids' toys. I would have probably made about $30 on the kids' toys if they all sold in my yard sale. So I kind of guesstimate the value based off of how much I would have asked for it. My kids' clothes, I asked $2 a piece. So 15 items times 2 equals 30. That's how I value the items that I donate. Then I total it up. And then that's my documentation. It's got all the address, phone number, and everything, who I donated it to on this piece of paper. So when I turn in this service program form for my donation, I'm going to attach this donation receipt with it. Remember, all of these volunteer donation forms come to me, and I'm the one that submits it directly to Student Services because I need to record it in our club binder that I keep our documentation. So just in case they lose it or can't remember how many hours our club has, I know how many hours we have as volunteer, whether it's donations or through actual volunteering. So those are the 2 ways that you can fill out this form. We can fill it out as donations, and we fill it out as actual time we spend doing certain things. So please, if from the start of this school year, if you're new, if you've been a previous member, you can start your time mid-April, all summer long. If you did some volunteer work, I need you to start filling these forms out and getting them to me for the summer volunteer work that you did, because those summer volunteers count. If you are a new member, it doesn't count until the beginning of September. So September 1st, any kind of donations you made or volunteers work that you've done, you can start recording that and then turn in, if you fill out the form or you've made any donations and have documentation, turn those into me the next meeting and I'll get those turned in. Or you can always drop them off anytime you want to at my office, and I'll get those recorded and turned in. We'll talk a little more about this, but hopefully you've watched the video so we don't have to spend time talking about this in the club meeting. You can just come with your questions about any of this. I hope this made sense, and I'm super excited for us to get out into the community and serve our students and participate in volunteering. Bye, guys.